Hope all of you have had a good week. Jealousy and envy can be complex to understand and work through. Whether you are experiencing them yourself or facing them from someone else. Today, we have with us Sister Shireen. She has studied, practiced, and taught meditation for over 25 years. She is the author of 3 unique books on meditation: True Bollywood Blockbuster, sorry about that, Oh My Goodness, and Experience the Divine. She is also the creator and presenter of Release Your Wings and the Yum Yum Yogi Show. Maybe she can share today with us a little bit about the Yum Yum Yogi Show. And she also heads the Brahma Kumari's Meditation Center in Tampa, in Florida. So let us all together welcome Sister Shireen today. Good morning, Sister.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Good evening to all of you. It's lovely to be here with everyone. So most of all of you are from Indonesia or other countries also joining in?
Today we have a mixture. We have a family from London and other parts of the world as well. And it's also being shared on YouTube live in English and also in our local Bahasa Indonesia.
Okay. All right. So there must be a lot of languages in Indonesia, right?
Yes, one of the main ones is Bahasa Indonesia.
Okay. Great, great. So thank you so much for having me here. And jealousy is actually quite an interesting topic, and it's a deep topic. You know, it's something that you really need to get a handle on in your life to be able to tackle this particular vice. And the reason why I'm calling something a vice is a vice is, let's talk about 2 aspects of the soul, which are, you could say, actually, let me backtrack a little bit and let me talk about the spiritual being. And so I'm sure all of you have been in contact with the Brahma Kumaris or in some kind of spiritual practice, because most all spiritual practices and faith traditions talk about the concept of the soul, or that we are souls and we have these bodies. And so in the Brahma Kumaris also, our understanding is that we are spiritual beings. And as spiritual beings, we are having a human experience. It's not the other way around. It's not that I'm a human being and wanting a spiritual experience. But because we are spiritual beings and because we have forgotten that we are spiritual beings, we are wanting a spiritual experience. Because we have forgotten we are spiritual beings, we are seeking that spiritual experience because we have forgotten it. So that is something very important to understand, that we are spiritual beings and we are having a human experience. And because we are so immersed and we have forgotten about the spiritual part, we are seeking it. Because in many ways, it's important to understand this because it's very directly connected with jealousy. In that, what happens is, if even when we are talking about spiritual eternal concepts, even if we misrepresent it in our own mind, if our understanding is even slightly off, it's very hard to implement changes in your life, implement deep transformation in your life because of that slight thing. And because even though it seems slight, it's actually a very, very big change in our perspective. Because what happens is, let's just take this one particular aspect, right? I'm a spiritual being and I'm having a human experience. But what we think is, oh, I'm a human being and I want a little peace here, a little love there, all of those things. And so what happens is, when I think that way, I think this is something outside of myself, right? I'm thinking love or peace or all of those qualities are outside of myself. And because I think they are outside of myself, I keep seeking it. I keep wanting to go outside and um, go looking for it, somewhere outside, maybe the next talk, maybe the next walk in the park, maybe the next walk on the beach, whatever it is. That is what is going to give me peace. But if I understand that this is something intrinsic to me, that this, as a spiritual being, that is something intrinsic to me, and all I have to do is go within to find it, then you understand that yes, it is not only possible, but it is easily accessible because it's inside you. And so you see how these small shifts in your awareness, these small shifts in your consciousness really make it possible for us to make huge shifts in self-transformation. And so, and the more subtler something gets, the more refined our understanding of it has to be. So that is just, I wanted to just give you a brief example of how understanding really makes a huge difference in your self-transformation. And so one of the things we have to understand is that the soul, the spirit, has three aspects of consciousness. One aspect is the mind, the other one is rational intelligence or intellect, or in Hindi or Sanskrit, it's called buddhi. And the other one is our impressions. And so what happens is, these three have particular, you could say, they have particular functions within the soul, right? They're not physical faculties, like we have eyes to see that, and these eyes are a physical faculty. But what it is actually the eyes are a physical faculty, but also um, we have nose and we have ears and we have all of those things, and we are able to operate in the physical world because of these physical faculties. In the same way, we will be able to operate in spiritually. How does the soul operate is the question we have to ask ourselves, and that's where these faculties come into play. And so the faculty of the mind is where thoughts arise. It's the visual part of the soul. It's the screen of the soul. And so that's where you think about things. So when I say, visualize a beach, you're able to visualize it, and that image is coming up on your mind. And then we have the faculty of the rational intelligence or intellect or buddhi. And that is where um, is your reasoning, what is right, what is wrong, your awareness, your understanding, what is illusion, what is reality, all of that gets sorted out in that particular aspect of the soul. And then the last one I'll talk about is sanskaras. And so sanskaras or impressions. Impressions are that part, and they're called sanskaras in Sanskrit or Hindi. Impressions are that part of the soul where we have, you could say, they are this, where we store everything. It's where the files are stored. Every experience we have, everything we do, everything is stored in impressions or sanskaras. And you know what else is stored in impressions and sanskaras? Impressions and sanskaras are very, very big. They're very, very vast. But we will talk about this particular impressions and sanskaras, and that is within the sanskaras or impressions, you have the virtues or the good qualities of the soul, and you have the vices. And one of the vices is jealousy. And so, what happens is that this vice, this jealousy from the impressions keeps playing up on the mind, right? It keeps, you could say the mind is the field. On the field of the mind, jealousy is playing. And so, as long as jealousy is playing on the field of the mind, what happens? What happens as long as we have jealousy on the field of the mind? We have, you could say, negative feelings, many things that happen because jealousy is playing on the field of the mind. Um, the result of what happens in our life when jealousy is playing on the field of the mind, the result is very subtly, there is carelessness, which we don't realize immediately that we are operating under careless. And people might think, oh, but what's wrong with carelessness? Eventually, it is quite harmful because there are many things that happen because of carelessness, many mistakes that happen because of carelessness. So there is carelessness, there is laziness, and laziness, spiritual laziness, more than even physical laziness. We are not able to distinguish, we are not able to make crucial distinctions with between what is right, what is wrong. All of these things are happening, and it's because of this vice of jealousy. Um, and the other thing that happens is we don't have spiritual power. We don't have power, like we don't have the power to withstand anything that is happening to us. We don't have that power. We don't have power to really see what is right, what is wrong. We don't have power to move forward. We don't have power to keep what we have. We don't have power to keep any of the good things that we have. And all of this is because jealousy is playing on the mind. We don't have contentment because of jealousy. And so all of these things are happening. And when I think about jealousy, I always feel that jealousy is really nothing but laziness. And the reason why we have jealousy is because we want something that someone has without wanting to work for it. And really, that is a very subtle form of laziness. We want it, but we don't want to work for it. And so, the thing about jealousy you have to understand is the the corresponding virtues that we spoke about, the vices, right? How do we get rid of this? How do we get jealousy? So imagine the field of your mind, right? Imagine. And so if you do the right things on the field of your mind, then you will have happiness, you will have contentment, you will have fulfillment, you will have all of that happening if you do it. But if you have jealousy playing on the field of your mind, then you have all of these other things I spoke about, like discontentment, disheartenment, you know, lack of power, all of those things are happening. And so what is the main main thing, main virtue that we need to do, we need to have, the main virtue that we need to have to overcome jealousy? The main virtue is, and there are others too, but let's start with the foundational virtue. The foundational virtue is honesty. And the reason why we need honesty is we need to acknowledge, we first need to acknowledge that we have jealousy, because that is, you could say, you have won 40% of the battle if you acknowledge that you're jealous. Because many times we are jealous and we hide it. We hide it from ourselves. I'm not saying go, tweet it to the world, you know, what is your main newspaper or your main TV channel. I'm not saying take an ad on your TV channel and say, hey, I have jealousy. I'm not saying that. um, what I'm saying is don't hide it to yourself. If you hide it to yourself, then it's very, very hard to, because it's very subtle, right? It's so subtle that if you hide it to yourself, then you don't know it's there. And it operates hidden, and it's even worse when it's hidden and it's operating, because it's so insidious, it's so, it's working like a cancer inside, and you don't even know it's working like a cancer inside, and you don't even know why you're disheartened, you don't know why you're getting depressed, you don't know why you're doing all of this. And I assure you, jealousy is playing some part in all of this, in your disheartenment, in your depression, in your all of those, um, discontentment, all of those, jealousy is playing a part. And because you don't know jealousy is playing a part, and because of jealousy, all of this is happening, then you wonder, oh, why is it happening? It's happening because of this. And that is why it's important to be honest. It is very, very important. I cannot stress to you the importance of honesty towards the self. You have to sit down and write down, um, who am I jealous of? Why am I jealous? This is something very important, because it is a main vice. It is a vice that plays out in everyone's life. And if you think about it, most of everything that happens right now, most of the atrocities in the world are because of jealousy. um, if you think about any nation state, right? Any nation state, why do nation states want to become the rulers of the world, right? Pick a nation state. Give me an example, Jabin, that a nation state wants to rule the world and is bullying the whole world. Um,
I think for now we can say China.
yes, China definitely. I didn't want to say it because I wasn't sure how
Yeah.
would people take, or uh, so China or Russia or United States, not as much. I feel, not just because I'm living here, because I am actually a global citizen. I don't think of myself as, belonging to any one particular country. And I feel I can objectively look at things even after living here. But I mean, to just give you an example, and slight tangent is, let's take United States involvement in Pakistan. Um, and so if you take the aid that Pakistan got from the United States was aid. They weren't expected to give it back. They were given aid to uplift their country. While China, what it does is it makes people into debt traps, and death traps also, but debt trap. Like they give you a loan, and then, like Venezuela, right, is a perfect example of that, where Venezuela is in such deep debt to China. And this was when oil was at a very premium. They gave loaned money, and the money doesn't ever go to the common people. It just goes to the politicians on top, and the politicians are on top are also all about jealousy. Really, it's so much about jealousy. And then now, because the price of oil has come down, 90% maybe 80% of what the oil that Venezuela produces, and that's all they can do actually right now. 80% of the oil that they produce, they have to send it to China because they of the debt they are in. And if you see, I don't know how much you would know that part of the world or what is going on in Venezuela, but it is such a sad situation where even um, even people don't have food. They, even within families, they kick out children because they cannot feed the children. And once you're a certain age, like 10, 11, 12, there is no food in the country, and so it's very, very hard. It's a And all because, the reason why I'm telling you all of this is all because of jealousy. All because of jealousy. All because uh, everything that is happening between nations, between people. So let's now forget about nations and talk about people. Every atrocity that has happened between people, between individuals, is in some shape or form connected with jealousy. And so jealousy is a really, really horrible vice. And that is why we call it a vice. A vice is something that gives you sorrow ultimately, even though for a few minutes it might give you happiness, instant gratification, happiness, but the ultimate result of it is it's giving you sorrow and it's giving everyone else sorrow. And so because it's giving you sorrow and it's giving everyone else sorrow, it is a vice. And that vice is really not good for you because of that. That's why we say it's a vice. And that is why we say jealousy is a vice. And so the the thing about um, the thing about vices and the thing about jealousy is that it is such a vice that it doesn't let us be happy and it doesn't let us anyone else be happy. And so both things are happening. I'm not happy, and I don't like to see anyone happy. Actually, in jealousy, I don't like to see anyone happy. And so that's what happens, is I'm not happy and I don't like to see anyone happy. And I feel, what is the biggest festival that you celebrate there?
In Indonesia,
Mhm.
we have the Idul Fitri, which is the
Okay.
Muslim New Year.
Okay. So I feel this new year, right? Muslim New Year or any new year, is, if we want to celebrate New Year, the best way to celebrate it is we overcome jealousy. That is true celebration. Because if we are not celebrating something there, we are being trapped in. I am being trapped in something, and that is so harmful to me. And if I get rid of it and then I celebrate, that really is a true celebration. It's true celebration is not, in Eid, if you do, you fast and all of those things. And so it's not that is not celebration. It's eating some food and greeting people and all of those things. You're doing the same thing every day, but are you really having a new you? If you really want a new year, you should have a new you, and to have a new you have to get rid of jealousy. And that would be the true celebration of that festival, is to get rid of jealousy. And so now, let's talk about 3 or 4 um, ways in which we can get rid of jealousy. So one thing I told you about is honesty, right? 40% of the job is done, is you acknowledge everyone is jealous. You just have to acknowledge, yes, it's there, and you have to, I would suggest you have to write it down. I would suggest, after this session is over, at some point, take a few moments to yourself, not on your phone. My suggestion is to take a piece of paper and a pen and write down. And so this is the first step I'm asking you to do, is write down who or what you are jealous of, who within your circle you're jealous of. Because usually we are jealous of people of our own circle and our own age, you know, and things like that. So we are usually, that is the case. And so write down, who is it that I am jealous of? And so be very honest with yourself and write it down. And the other thing that we need to do is um, the concept of the concept that of contentment. One of the things that we have to understand about contentment, right, is the other virtue. The other virtue, one is honesty, the other virtue is contentment. Actually, next, let's talk about understanding. Understanding and contentment together. So we have to understand the inner workings of jealousy. We have to understand that this particular vice is going to give me sorrow. There has to be that deep understanding and that deep acceptance that, yes, this vice is going to give me sorrow. And the other understanding that we need to have about jealousy is that it is my enemy. It is not helping me. I assure you, I promise you that no enemy, no physical enemy is as bad for me as jealousy is for me. No physical enemy is as bad. And so it's important, it's absolutely important to understand that what is my enemy, and that this is my enemy, and this is my enemy because it is giving me sorrow. So what do enemies do? They give you sorrow, right? They mess up your life. And so no physical person can mess up your life as much as jealousy can mess up your life. And so this is something important to understand. Yes, we have physical enemies. I am not saying that, go open yourself up to physical enemies. I'm not saying all of that. But if you are able to get a handle on jealousy and understand that it really is truly your enemy, and you shouldn't really keep it for, a rainy day, I need jealousy. You don't need jealousy for rainy days. So if you understand this, if you understand that the amazing amount of harm that jealousy does for you, then you will understand that it truly is your enemy. And so that is the second step, is you have to understand who your enemy is. And then the third step is contentment. One of the things we are jealous is we want something. We want something someone has, right? And so two things we have to um, make note of in contentment is, one is, even if I get it, I'm not going to be content. I'm not going to be fulfilled in life, even if I get it. That's one thing I have to get a handle on, is I have to acknowledge that even if I get it, I'm not going to be happy. Because just because someone has it doesn't make you happy at all. Just because someone has it and you getting it will not make you happy at all. What will make you happy is if you live by your highest purpose and highest principles. That's what will make you happy. Getting something someone has doesn't do it. I promise you, I've been there, done that, and I know it will not make you happy. So So in contentment, we have to understand that even if I get it, I'm not going to be happy. And the second thing I need to really understand, I need to talk to myself about this is, if I am not content, if I'm not satisfied with what I have, what I already have, what makes me think I will be satisfied with what I get? Because satisfaction is a state of mind that we need to cultivate. We need to cultivate a state of mind where, because all of us, every single one of us, have many, many blessings in our lives. We have many things to be grateful for, so many things to be grateful for, so many blessings in our life. And if we are not counting our blessings, if we are not being grateful for the things we actually have, what makes us think that if I get one more thing, I'm going to be happy? You know, that's, it's just such a maya, it's such an illusion to think this, such an illusion to think, oh, one more thing is going to make me happy. I have 100 things and that's not making me happy. And one more thing, why is it going to make me happy? One more thing. And so that is something else we need to also take note of in contentment. And so those are the two things about contentment that you really need to sit and evaluate in your life. This life satisfaction, right? Life satisfaction is not going to come from going after what something else someone has. It's only going to come from really fulfilling your purpose and living your purpose and living in the highest principles. And so that is the third step in overcoming jealousy. There are a couple more steps, and I will talk about one more, and then we can take questions from people. The fourth step, you could say, is really um, being aware. Being aware that I am a spiritual being and I have this, I'm having this human experience. I'm a spiritual being and I'm having this human experience. And as a spiritual being, everything I need, not physical things, I'm not saying food, clothing, and shelter, but anything extra, right? Why do we want extra? If I have, $100,000, why do I want $200,000? Because I feel that extra is going to give me happiness, right? So it, I feel that every time we go after something extra, more than what we actually need in life, physical things we need in life, is because we think it's going to give me a spiritual experience, because happiness is a spiritual experience, peace is a spiritual experience, contentment is a spiritual experience. And every time I'm going after something, I think they're going to give me spiritual experiences. But the understanding we need to have and the practice we need to have is that this spiritual experience is within me. I have to go inside to access that spiritual experience. And if I go inside and access that spiritual experience, then I am able to, you could say, I'm able to um, really overcome jealousy. Because if I'm jealous, if someone has something and I'm jealous and I think if I get it, I'm going to be happy, and I can bypass all of that and find happiness inside, which is what is true, which you need to understand that is the truth. And truth will always set you free. Truth will always set you free. And so, if that is the truth, then if I access what is inside, then I'm bypassing all of this other stuff, right? So I need to go inside and access. And to be able to do that, I have to understand that I am a spiritual being and I'm having a human experience. And all that I need spiritually is within the spiritual being, within myself. and nothing external can give me what I want. You cannot get peace. Peace is a spiritual concept. How can you get peace from physical things if it's a spiritual concept, right? And so, spiritual concepts, lasting spiritual experiences can only be had when you go inside. And so, that's one thing. And I have a simple, um, you could say, mantra or a phrase or a practice, an awareness. So it's all of that. A practice, an awareness that I can have that will help me um, connect to that spiritual entity and access that spiritual concept is this: I am soul, I am a soul, I am spirit, I am light. Light is my original form. I am eternal. I am weightless. And so you might wonder, what is eternal connected um, with jealousy, right? What happens is when I stabilize myself in my eternal state is pure, my eternal state is happy, my eternal state is peace. When I stabilize myself in my eternal state, then then I also have um, access to everything else. And so being in this eternal state is very important. Accessing my eternal identity is very important. And experiencing eternity is very important. It sounds like a small thing, but it's a very big deal. It's a huge concept, but it's also a simple concept to grasp. But you have to practice. You have to practice, 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 practice. And I'll take some questions now. And depending on how much time we have, I want to talk about one more thing.
We still have time, sister. You can go ahead.
Okay. And so that is something, stabilizing myself in my eternal nature is something very important. The other thing which we need to access is the source of peace, the source of happiness we need to access. And so let's say the opposite of jealousy, right? The opposite of jealousy is satisfaction. And it is satisfaction. I'm jealous and, I'm burning inside and I'm not satisfied and everything and everyone is making me jealous. But what is the opposite of it? The opposite is satisfaction. Satisfaction with what we have, contentment with what we have, all of those things. And so if we categorize satisfaction as 100, right? Let's say the ultimate satisfaction is, let's give it a number, is 100%, right? Is the ultimate satisfaction. If I practice, I'm a spiritual being and I'm eternal, I am light, I will get about 40% of that. 30%. Between 30 and 40% you will get satisfaction. But how do I access the rest? How do I get the rest of that satisfaction and contentment? I have to access the source of peace, the source of contentment. I have to access that. And that source of peace, that source of contentment is the higher power. However you see the higher power, we call it the supreme soul. So I am a soul and we call higher power the supreme soul. If you call higher power the supreme soul, Allah or anything else, that's fine. But there is only one supreme soul, and that supreme soul, there is only one Allah. And that soul, that supreme soul, we have to access to be able to get a little bit more, right? Maybe another 40%. To be able to get another 40%, we have to access the contentment, the source of that contentment. And the way to do that is through our mind. So let's say we have a radio, and it's a really good radio, and right next to the radio there is a wonderful radio station. If the radio is not tuned to the radio station, the radio is not getting anything that is going on in the radio station. So let's say we have a wonderful radio station and there's the radio, and I have to access. So I have to tune the radio to the radio station. And so in the same way, the soul has to be tuned through becoming aware of itself as a soul to this higher power, and understand that this higher power is the ocean of satisfaction, the ocean of peace, the ocean of contentment. The higher power is this. And so we understand it and we access it by tuning the soul, tuning this soul to that. The last one, for the rest of it, remember I told you we need 100%. And the last one is this, that our spiritual home. And so all of us are souls, all the 7.5 billion people on this planet are souls. We are souls having a human experience. And the reason why some souls are lost, some souls are jealous, is because we have forgotten this. We have forgotten that we are spiritual beings and we are on a human journey. We have forgotten that. And so if we are on a human journey, one of the things, the question we have to ask ourselves, on any journey, you go on a journey, but you have a home, right? You always have a home. And so all of us souls are on this human journey, and all of us have one home. And that home is our spiritual home. You can call it whatever you call it. Let's call it our sweet home. A sweet home. So on this human journey, I'm in a body, I'm in a costume, I'm playing my part, I am, doing all of these things, but I'm on a journey, and it's a long, long journey, and I have forgotten my sweet home. And my sweet home is, if I access my sweet home, if I go back to my sweet home, then I get rest. I get true rest. And that true rest rejuvenates me, re-energizes me. And most importantly, it will give me that deep soul satisfaction when I go back to my true home. And so this going back to our true home is not necessarily is physical journey. It's not like you get in a rocket and go somewhere. It's not that. It is again a spiritual journey. The soul has to go, the soul has to tune, right? And so let's say I have to go to the beach. I can tell you, you know exactly where your beach is. So I can say, get in your car, start driving to the beach, and, get off the beach, take a walk on the beach, feel the sand under your thing. So you can do all of that because in your mind, you know exactly where it is and you're going. And so to understand about our spiritual home is, first we have to accept that we have a spiritual home, and that it is a world of light. It's a world of beautiful light. It's a world of orange, golden orange light, like the sunset, right? That's why we find so much peace when we see sunset and sunrise, is because it's intuitively reminding us of our home. And so, with our mind's eye, just like you took a walk and went to the beach, with our mind's eye, we can go to our spiritual home. And because we are spiritual beings, we can access our spiritual home through our mind. And when we access, then we download that spiritual energy from our spiritual home. And so those three steps are very important to identify yourself as a spiritual being, to connect with the spiritual supreme soul, and then to also go to our home. And so two things can happen at one time, actually. The spiritual being, the supreme soul, is in our home. And so when we go home, we access that spiritual being in our home and we connect with that spiritual being. So we identify ourselves as souls. We go there and we connect with that. And so we keep doing that. We keep doing that. And when we do that, remember I said the mind is a field, and the field of the mind becomes very calm, very quiet, and there is deep soul satisfaction. Not only is there deep soul satisfaction, but when you do this, you can actually see deep transformation within the self. And when you have deep transformation, then you can actually even transform things around you. And so, my dear angels, any questions?
Thank you, sister. Before we start with the question and answer, maybe you could guide us on how do we go home and recharge ourselves for a few minutes?
Sure. So I want all of you to sit up with your spine straight. And I want you to keep your eyes slightly open, rest your eyes somewhere. You don't have to stare. You can pick a corner and rest your eyes. And take a deep breath. And relax. Relax your shoulders, relax your head, everything, just relax. Take another deep breath and breathe deeply into your stomach and just relax your stomach. Take another deep breath. Breathe into your legs and relax your legs. And just release any tension you have by taking a few slow, deep inhalations and exhalations. And while you're breathing in and out deeply, bring your attention inwards. And I want you to visualize in your forehead, behind these eyes, I want you to visualize a sparkling star, a being of light. And this being of light, this star, is you the soul. And so very silently, keep repeating to yourself, I am a soul, I am light, I am weightless, and I'm eternal. I'm a soul, I am light, I'm weightless, and I'm eternal. And very gently tune your mind to the Supreme Soul, the ocean of peace, the ocean of contentment. And see in front of you a brilliant being, a luminous being of light. This Supreme Soul is in our sweet, silent home. With your mind's eye, you're accessing this sweet, beautiful world of silence, of peace. You're traveling there. With your mind's eye, you reach there. It's a golden orange being, golden orange realm of light. And in this realm of light, see yourself, the soul, as a being of light. And see in front of you the Supreme Soul, the being, the ocean, the luminous form of light. And like a magnet, you get connected with the Supreme. And you take your fill of this place, of your home, in this connection with the Supreme Soul. And you breathe it in. And when you are ready, gently come back to here and now. Om Shanti, I am peace.
Thank you, sister. That was indeed very peaceful. So, what I would like to share today is what you started with, is the line that you said was very beautiful, that we are spiritual beings experiencing through this body, through this human form. And this is something that we need to remind ourselves from time to time. And also the three aspects of the soul, which is the mind, which acts like the screen, like a TV screen, which brings our thoughts in front of us. The intellect, which is the power to judge, and also the impressions or experiences that are stored within us. And also what you said, that first of all, what we need to do to be able to overcome jealousy is to be honest to ourselves. So, and we need to understand that it is jealousy. So, sister, would you say that experiencing jealousy does not make someone a bad or a toxic person, but not addressing it or dealing with it in unhealthy ways can affect emotional to fester?
Yes, yes. That's a very very important question you brought up, actually, very important aspect is all of us, no, all of us. I'm not excluding myself at all in this. Every one of us, everyone, we have vices. That's just what it is, what is the world right now. And so we just have to acknowledge it. It doesn't make us a bad person. Just because I'm lazy, that doesn't make me a bad person. Just because I am angry doesn't make me a bad person. But if I don't acknowledge that anger and I deal with that anger and I go kill people or do something, then that would be a bad thing, right? And so jealousy is also like that. We have it, acknowledge it, and it doesn't make us a bad person because we are acknowledging it, because everyone has it. And so, and you're right, that if I don't address it, then all of these emotional complications happen because of me not addressing it.
Okay. And also, sister, friendships categorized by jealousy or envy may become toxic. So, when there is jealousy between friends, would it help if they talk about it or keep a distance for a while, maybe?
It has to be it's a good question. It has to be a friendship based on honesty, if you cannot be honest, then maybe they're not your friends. There is something we need to understand about friendship. We can have universal brotherhood. We are all brothers, universal brotherhood. We are all children of the one, and we are all brothers. But it doesn't have to be universal friendship. Friendships, only like minded people can really be friends. And so, if you don't have the same value system, you don't have the same level of honesty, and it's not good for you then.
Okay. Our next question is how envy differs from jealousy and what can we learn from this?
It's the same. It's, you could say one is a little milder, jealousy is a little harsher, but it's the same. It's envy. It's another word for jealousy. What was the other part of the question?
The other question is what can we learn from it?
What can we learn from it? The only thing we can learn from it is it needs to leave. It needs to leave our lives. Some of the times I feel that not every vice teaches us something. What jealousy really tells us is that there's a lot of deep inner work that needs to be done on the soul, and that we have to begin somewhere, and we can begin with jealousy. And so if we have to learn something, maybe that's what we have to learn, that the soul, to access the qualities of the soul, we need to do deep inner work. They just don't come, they don't come because you're wishing it. And actually that's true for jealousy also. Just because you want something, it just doesn't come. That nothing happens because of jealousy. No constructive thing happens because of jealousy. Let's say I'm jealous, you have something and I want it, right? Am I going to get it? No, I'm not going to get it. All I'm going to get is a lot of heartache because I have it. And so deep inner work also doesn't just happen because I want it. It has to happen because I am making effort for it. And so maybe jealousies come to tell me that there is a lot of deep inner work that needs to be done on the soul.
Okay. We have one here which is actually a statement, but maybe you can tell us what do you think about it. Jealousy at a subtle level could prompt me to take extra effort to achieve a goal, In a way, it helps one summon their resources to achieve something. Yes, it seems a form of a negative feeling, but subtly it may not be harmful to other people. So, to what I understand is that jealousy
You're
might
using
give
it as
you,
a motivation factor.
yes,
What I've noticed is if your motivation is not right, if your motivation is not based on pure um, things that the soul actually needs, if your motivation is based on any of the vices, first, whatever you get will not satisfy you because that's why you are motivated, right? You want something because you think it's going to satisfy you. It won't give you what you think you're going to get. And the other thing is, it cannot live for too long. You cannot motivate yourself on jealousy. It is not self sustaining, it's not a sustaining thing to do because you will do that and then you want something else and then you want something else. You'll always be chasing if that you make jealousy your motivating factor. And there's never deep satisfaction if that's what is your motivation.
our last question is, sister, how do we deal with resentment?
Other people being jealous of you, is that what
I
we
think
have to
I think
yeah,
that's what it is.
yes, we have to send good wishes and pure feelings because in a very subtle way our our behavior also kind of invokes resentment. But if we are very humble and we and if we do not um, you know buy into it, we don't return that resentment back. You It takes two hands to clap. If someone is being resentful, you don't play into it. You send good wishes, pure feelings, be very humble, then it will stop.
Okay.
It seems like a very high road what I'm sharing, but I promise you we have tried the other roads and they don't really work. And so you want to try this and see.
Yeah. Thank you, sister. Thank you very much. We will definitely work on this, overcoming jealousy. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Our
Yes.
next session will be on coming Saturday, the 10th of October. The topic is managing emotions. Before we end today, I would like to request all of you to put on your cameras so that we can all thank Sister Shireen.
Hello, everyone.
So we have a gathering of universal gathering today from all over the world.
Great, great, great. Lovely, lovely to see all of you. Lovely to see all of you. I'm so happy to be here with you. I wish I could individually say hello to each of you and get to know you, but I know we don't have time for that. So thank you so much for having me. And I really um, enjoy seeing all of you and seeing my global family, my global brothers and sisters. It's very nice.
Thank you, sister. Once again, thank you very much. Hope you have a nice weekend, and all of you have a good weekend, and we shall meet again next week. Until then, stay safe and stay blessed. Bye bye. Om Shanti.
Shanti.